So we've got Sam Taylor on today. Thanks for coming, Sam. England international hockey player. He's a defender and went through the 18s and the 21s in the England setup. So we'll run through his journey, a bit of hockey, other sports as well, if there are any, and then just have a good conversation. So all we do with the first question is always ask the same thing. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I'd probably say like not to worry about what anybody thinks. I think a lot of sport and a lot of growing up, I struggled with like what people thought and like my expectations and stuff. So yeah, I'd probably say don't care about what anyone else thinks. Just focus on yourself and get on with it.
At what point do you reckon you realised that in your...
Pretty recently.
Really?
Yeah, I think the more you go into new environments, it probably just pops up again, and you have to sort of set yourself down. Probably the first click was at England 18s. I think going up from Devon, there's not too many. There's like we got some good numbers now, like Ollie Payne and Giselle Ansley, etc. Probably missing a few, but there's not been huge amounts of like stories of hockey players coming from down there. So I think coming up from there and seeing all the private school boys and worrying about all of that, like I think that was the first time it sort of clicked where if you just get on with it, you can sort of just get by.
And you mentioned England 18s was your first kind of introduction to an England setup, if you like. How did you find that?
Pretty nerve-wracking. My first year in the 18s was when I was a year young. So obviously playing with people older than you already, but also not really knowing anybody. Again, I met a nice friend in Taunton who we then played sort of West of England stuff with, and we went up together quite a lot, and that was made it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, like it's pretty special. Like you got to play for England, whether it's under 18s, under 21s, whatever it is.
And how did that differ to the 21s? Was it a very similar environment, or did it feel a bit more? Obviously, it's a bit more senior because you're older, but does it feel a big difference?
I'd say 18s is more about just like getting to know people and playing, whereas like the 21s, you end up playing with the same group of people, and you've sort of come across people by then that you've made friendship with, made sort of connections with, and you can actually just play rather than worrying about too much of like, oh, do you want to be my mate type thing, rather than anything else.
Nice. And then obviously before that 18s, 21s, you were at Ashmore Hockey Club, is that right? What age did you start playing there?
I would say probably around the age of 4 or 5. Yeah, I started playing. My old man was sort of influential throughout the club, like coached the ladies side, the junior side, like whatever he could do, he always wanted to do it. He got me into it. I used to go on Saturdays and just watch his games and sit there in the cold rain and whatever it was, just watch the hockey. I was there for 13 years. Only left just after COVID.
How did you find that progressing through the age groups? You come across anybody in similar situations to you, or were you always a little bit ahead?
Not too much ahead. Like I think when you're that age, like good players probably tend to stick out. I was quite lucky. My club Ashmore was linked to the secondary school I ended up at, so the club guys I played with were also my school friends as well. So a lot of us played together and we got pretty good together. I wouldn't say it was very early that I sort of stuck out against the crowd or anything. We were good because we were sort of the team that knew each other really well and played together, rather than we had really good individuals. Yeah,
nice. And then obviously being a bit younger, did you play many other sports that you say probably helped with your hockey?
I mean, I played cricket. Cricket was sort of my first love, to be fair, compared to hockey. It was obviously worked really well before the international stuff of having like a summer sport and a winter sport. It gets to the point when you end up in the England systems that you don't really have a summer sport and a winter sport, and it gets very hard to do both. Cricket was a big part of my life in terms of just like stick and ball, like it's bat and ball is very similar.
The same, isn't it?
Cricket was a big part of the way I grew up.
And then obviously you said you were at Ashmore for 13 years. Was it Holcombe next, or was Holcombe?
Holcombe was one after. So I went to uni in Plymouth, and while I was at uni in Plymouth, I still played at Ashmore. But we had 2 seasons where we wrote off because of COVID. So at the end of that, it was sort of like time for me to make a decision. I was like the last few years in the 21s program, and it was like probably need to start moving on if I want to really develop on from there. So I actually applied to the PGC in teaching at Exeter, but I did end up not going because I went to Holcombe. But the year before, I played for Exeter University, which is a little bit of a weird one because you get to play for the uni side in the club league,
Right.
but I couldn't play in the Bucks league. So yeah, a bit of a strange one, but it's like having like Exeter Uni Hockey Club being a hockey club rather than a university on a Saturday. But yeah, I played there for a year, played with a few good friends. So Jake Payton, still play with the England setup. Yeah, met a few good friends. Matt Simmons playing on Australia now. So yeah, it's again a different experience, like playing in a uni environment that you're not at. But yeah, then moved up to London, which was a big decision.
Yeah. And what's the standard of the Buck stuff like? By all accounts, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely the top league is very good.
Yeah.
I think like our uni setup is good because it's competitive. People want to go to uni to play the sport type thing. I certainly didn't go to university for hockey. If I'm completely honest, I didn't think I'd stick out at university. I thought I'd be I wanted to end up doing like a carpentry apprenticeship. That was what I really wanted to do, and then ended up just saying if I wanted to give the hockey a go, I'd have to be at a university to be able to go and do the training type thing. It's obviously easier to get off university than it is to get off of a work job. So yeah, I ultimately made the decision to go down, but my hockey at university was very much just social fun, actually a switch off compared to actually just playing hockey full time from the age of 18 to where I am now.
At what point did you realise hockey was potentially an option to go full time when you were at uni?
Yeah, I would say probably my first year in the 21s. I hadn't been really like a main player in the 18s or anything, and then I can't exactly tell you what happened, but I had a really good year and went strongly into 21s, and it gave me the opportunity to then keep progressing. I got relatively lucky with my way into the senior program while I was at uni. So yeah, it was a nice thing, but I wouldn't say there was a moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And you mentioned obviously that transition into the senior team. You made your debut, if I'm right, in February 22.
Yeah.
Against Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
Scary, fun, exciting, like every emotion you can probably like describe. It was actually a very, very late call up. So we had selection the week before they went to Spain for Spain and then Argentina trips, which was about 2 weeks after the Spain trip. And I was selected for the Argentina, but a reserve for Spain. And I actually went up to 21s camp in Beeston, Nottingham. It was basically while they were travelling, I was at 21s camp, and my old man was on me all night before. He was like, you have to take a bag in your car just in case you get a phone call and say that you need to come, because COVID was obviously still around. And he was just all night like, pack a bag. I didn't pack a bag, and my old man then packed the bag for me while I was obviously doing something else, and he put it in the boot of the car. And I halfway through the day at Nottingham, I got a call and basically saying, someone's got COVID, we need you to come to Spain. And I drove from Beeston, Nottingham, all the way to Stansted Airport. But the only reason I could do that and the only reason I could get on the plane to be there was because Dad told me to pack the bag.
experience from the old
campaigner, yeah.
And then obviously arriving when you're on reserve and you've been called up, how does that, obviously like you said, it's all emotions, but what is kind of the overriding one? Was it more excitement or nerves initially, and then when you get on the pitch it's like
I'd probably say excitement. Like you work all your life to try and play for your country, and I think I was very lucky. I roomed with the captain at the time, David Ames, who I think was the oldest in the squad and I was the youngest in the squad, but it was very good because he was just calm. Like there was no worries about anything. It was like, you ready? You're going to get a go? And I was like, yeah, like that's nice. I didn't need anything else other than someone just to be like confident and calm with me. But yeah, very, very exciting time in Valencia, which is pretty cool. Like obviously priming. Didn't play the first game out there and then played the second game. And it was probably a good thing I didn't play the first game. I think I was still taking in the whole day, the emotion of everything. And by the time we got round to the second day, I was sort of ready to go. Yeah.
And you mentioned obviously David Ames and a few senior lads. How did they have an impact on you, especially when you're quite young going into that setup? They're probably quite pivotal for most young players, but how were your experiences with those senior guys?
Yeah, very, very good. I sort of knew, obviously, people from watching. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, I watched a lot of those guys 4 or 5 years before and thinking, oh, God, I'm looking forward to that in 10 years type of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, the journey came a lot quicker. But, yeah, I think I was lucky enough to be coached by David a few years later. But, yeah, top guy. Remember a moment that was sticking me the whole way through. We did the walkouts, and they obviously swapped the, I don't know what you call them, the badges, or what are they called? Pendant?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
I don't know.
We'll
That
go
might
with
be.
that one. We'll
Yeah,
go with
state
pendant.
school education. I don't know. We basically passed over them, and we walked down. We did our team huddle, and at the end of the team huddle, he basically passed me this pendant, call it that, and he was like, "This is for you. Like, remember it, but enjoy today. Like,
Yeah.
nothing." And that is framed downstairs in
Is
my
it?
old man's
Nice.
house with my shirt, where Dad wanted to have this thing. But yeah, that moment will always stick with me and
Yeah.
just calm me down. So yeah,
That's nice. It's good that you got people around you like that in those environments. It makes a massive difference.
yeah, for sure.
So obviously started in Spain effectively. Have you been anywhere else traveling the world playing hockey?
Yeah, I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Played in Spain, Holland, Argentina, India. There's probably a few I'm missing.
What was the best one?
Argentina, probably.
Yeah.
I've played there twice now. We played in Buenos Aires the first time. Some serious heat. We played like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But it was just packed. And they're similar in the way they support hockey to the way they support football. They just love the sport type thing. And their women's team had done really, really well over the last sort of 2 Olympic cycles. So there was, I think, 3,000, 4,000 people there. And it was like running out in that, probably for the first time playing in front of more than, I don't know, 1,000. That was a really cool place. And obviously the barbecues were exceptional as well. We had a team barbecue. I remember on the first trip, it was like a rooftop terrace, pool next to us, and we were just sat having a barbecue with some seriously good meat.
Yeah, that's good. Nice. And obviously you mentioned there being a few big games there. Obviously all the internationals are big games, but how do you prepare, I guess, for those games? Do you prepare the same for a club game as you would international, or do you change it up?
The processes are pretty similar in terms of like your team stuff is obviously you're doing your training. Obviously, you're training a little bit less for your club, but you still do your video work. You still get given all your sort of processes you want to go through, your presses you want to play type thing, and your principles. But obviously, in international games, you're normally on a camp. Like, you're normally there the whole time. So thinking about it a little bit more, might have a few more meetings. You might have a few more conversations with your line. But yeah, personally, for me, it doesn't change too much. I think when I first started, it was very difficult for me. More like not a worry of like what's going to happen, but like a nervous energy about me, which I hadn't necessarily felt before that. But yeah, I definitely hope now I could probably say that I've got it more under control, and I've tried to approach that the same.
Yeah. How do you get to a stage where you're more comfortable in that situation? Is there anything you did in particular, or was it just, I guess, being in experience and?
Not necessarily like doing anything in particular. I would say the people in your environment have a massive effect. So those older guys you spoke about, but also doing some of it with your peers, like you've played with for a while. You get to experience that with those people. There's a lad from Totnes, Ollie Payne. He's the goalkeeper for England and GB. He was a massive part of me during the EDP, and then when he went up to the seniors, I went up to 3 or 4 years after. Like, he was just a massive calming influence. Like, I knew him very much from home. It was like almost home was with me there.
Familiar.
Exactly. And whatever he needed to say, I could listen to, because what he was saying was like a friend. Whereas at the time, first time you're in a team, it's like, oh Christ, that is the captain. He needs to tell me what he's doing.
Yeah.
Whereas for Payno, it's like you're just doing what you do normally.
Yeah.
And it's very, very easy for him to be a part of that.
And how do you stay fresh mentally in those? Because obviously, like you say, you're going away for an extended period of time, if you like, and the games come thick and fast when you're going away on tour. So how do you stay prepared mentally for that?
So like we, at the minute in this year's Pro League, we've played 4 games in 5 days on most of the trips we've been on. And we've basically played, as using an example, we played in Argentina. We played Argentina, Ireland, day off, Argentina, Ireland. And it basically made it very easy in that moment just to switch off the other team focus on the next game, and then we had the day off to do it. It's not necessarily easy to stay mentally fresh. I don't think you get out, play some
Just have
cards,
to ride
not
the
think
wave
about it. Yeah, not exactly. Not think about it. Just try and do other things. Like we play a lot of cards, we play a lot of whist, Uno. Like there's just different games that we just get on with.
Try and take your mind off things.
Exactly. And then when you need to dial in, of course you dial in. But it's important to be able to settle yourself down and not stay sort of high the whole day.
Yeah. And I guess obviously playing that many games in that many days, there's obviously a physical element to that as well. Is the recovery quite intense, or is it kind of up to you as well?
It differs with different like S&C and physio provisions. This year it's been very much more of like you do what you need to do type thing. Obviously prescripted in terms of the timings and stuff and where we do it, but it's almost now more of a focus on what you need to get out of this, get out of it, or what gets your body the best. Just do that. Not saying previously it hasn't been that, but it's maybe been a bit more prescripted. Yeah.
Are there any recovery methods you like in particular yourself, like saunas or ice baths? Or
I don't mind ice baths during a game series. That works. I use a complex machine quite a lot. I don't want to try and explain what that does.
No.
If you want to do that, you can look it up. But yeah, I think a lot of it for me is just like trying to get myself physically ready. Like it might be I go for a walk, it might be I sit on the complex, it might be I sit on the roller, it might be I do nothing. Like it might be I go for a swim in the morning. Like there's so many little things that you can do, but until you know your body and know your way of doing it, you're never going to know fully. So especially now, like 23, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not going to try that. If the physio comes up with something new, I'll probably try it, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, at least you tried it. Yeah. Setbacks, any ones that spring to mind? It could be injuries, not getting picked. So anything that you go, I learnt a lot from that experience, and probably initially felt a certain way, and then once you kind of mull it over, it might feel a different type of way.
Yeah, I've probably had a fair share, like injuries definitely. I'll get on to. I lost my contract with GB in England in actually the back end of 22. I made my debut into February, and then I think I lost my contract around the September, October mark. Wasn't fully lost, but like as a hockey player, if you haven't got a full-time contract, you then have to go and get another job, and you have to try and support yourself through that. So yeah, I lost my full-time contract, went out to part-time when the new head coach came in, which is again like you think the world's ended.
Yeah.
It's very easy to sit here now and say like it hadn't. At that time it had. Like in my head it was like I've just moved to London, I've done this for a full-time contract, and now I've lost that. Like what am I going to do? Like, do I need to go back to uni? Do I need to do all these thoughts go through your mind? And the only thing I'd say now is that's okay to feel like that. But ultimately I would say like don't like say that never happened, because it's pointless, because it did happen. So the contract stuff and selection, like it's hard, but ultimately that's sport. And we have the benefits of being a professional sportsman in terms of I go to work and I do a warm-up, I play hockey, I do a cool-down, I go home, I go to the gym. Like all these things are while people are sat in offices or teaching kids or all these things. So I get that side of it, and you've got to also understand that sometimes you're going to get challenges of that. In regards to injuries, I've had sort of things come in like in sets throughout years. So I've had sort of 3 in a row this year. I've had 3 in a row, and then 2023. So there's just ultimately they're not necessarily in your control, especially in a sport like hockey. You get whacked with a ball, you break a finger. There's not much you can do about it. You're doing some sprints in the morning, like you tear a hamstring. Like ultimately, something will happen at some point in your career. I've not been historically great at dealing with them.
What makes you not historically great? As in, you get down or you get annoyed by it, or
annoyed, frustrated. Like timings as well affect how I feel. I, as a home like Devon boy, I miss home a lot, and when you're not being able to do what I'm in London to do, ultimately, like that's probably one of the only reasons I've left Devon is to be a hockey player. So when I can't do that, I'm sat at home often, and I'm sat in the gym thinking,
This is rubbish.
Rubbish. Yeah, I could be doing something else down in the actual place where I want to be. And that sounds all doom and gloom on London. It's not. Like, I live with two of my best mates, like housemates, play with them at Holcombe. They've all both had their trials for GB and stuff and not gone their way. But like, there's a lot of positives up here. And it's in those moments that you've got to be like, this is rubbish, but still, like, you're still all right.
Yeah, it's good that you've got that perspective at such a young age. I think a lot of people probably don't have that outlook on those types of environments and those situations, so it's good you've got that. And obviously you mentioned friendships and the two lads you live with. How does that must have, especially when you're away from home, those kind of friendships must have a massive impact?
Yeah, like I met Tom and Pendle when we were about 18s, I think under 18s when I first met them both. And I played with both of them through 21s and a little bit in the seniors with their trials and stuff, but I now play with them at Holcombe. They're just the ability to have a friend in hockey that then can switch off from hockey and go to other things is like gold dust. Like, we will go home, we'll probably talk about things in the car about hockey, and then when we get home, it's like, right, what are we doing? Like, what are we playing? Oh, and then we're going to do something different. And there's that ability to have those people away, well, in an environment that ultimately was like foreign to me at the time, is really important.
It's nice.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you do to switch off with your mates?
We play a lot of cards. I like whist a lot. We play a bit of PS5, pub.
You can say that.
Yeah, like a little bit of social. To be honest, it's just doing rubbish. Like, whatever, it's who you're with. Like, for me, like, those two will always, I won't have a dull moment with them. Like, I'll be moving, whatever. We can go watch sport. We can do whatever.
Yeah, that's good. We'll move on to coaching. And obviously, you've been coaching at Reigate Grammar School as well the last 2 years, am I right saying?
Yeah, 2.5
years,
2.5, something like that.
How does that change your outlook on the game in general? If it does.
As in with my playing?
Yeah. Do you think it helps when you're playing and look at it from a different perspective, or does it make you appreciate playing when you go, actually, I like coaching, but makes me feel that playing's much better?
It's interesting because I really enjoy coaching, and I never really thought I'd do it in a school. My old man was a teacher the whole way through, but did all the coaching on the side, and like, just never saw myself doing it. But then, weirdest thing to say, I've actually found coaching hockey being the biggest switch off from playing hockey. Like, I go to the school and got the first form. I coach the first form, look after the first form, and then the sixth formers. Like, they don't know who I am. Yeah. Like, until someone says, like, oh, this is an England hockey player, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Like, they still don't know. They still don't really care. Like, for me, that is like bliss. Like, I just go and I coach, and they're like, oh, you're a good coach. So I'm like, yeah, well, thank you. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's brilliant, like, to have that other side of things. So yeah, like, the coaching doesn't necessarily give me other outlets on the game myself, but it's definitely opened my eyes to the other side of hockey and how it can actually not feel like what I'm used to as hockey. Yeah.
And how do you find juggling coaching and playing? Quite easy or difficult?
Difficult at times. I think so like, my typical week in the season would look like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Bisham with the GB program. Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon I go to school to coach, train with my club on Thursday evening, play my game on Saturday after coaching on Saturday for school. So it sounds like quite busy, but to me it's like, if I go home and sit at home, what am I going to do? Yeah. So I actually don't mind the juggling of it, because I enjoy what I do. But yeah, it can get a little bit busy, and especially like, so typically our tournaments, our major tournaments end up being somewhat in the summer. So I haven't worked at the school this term, the summer term, because last year I struggled. So there's definitely conversations and understanding you got to have with yourself about how much you can do and how much that's actually impacting your performance. Like, are you knackered going into the next week?
You don't need to be, do you?
Exactly, yeah. So what actually works again for you, and what do you need to be able to be the best person that you want to be? Good.
And have you come across any coaches yourself in particular that you've resonated with when you're playing? Obviously, the England coaches or club coaches or anyone like that. Could be a school coach when you were younger.
I'd probably say one of the best coaches I've been under is David Ames. Like I was lucky enough to play with him for my debut, but he then came as an assistant coach to Holcombe for my first 2 years there. I just thought his attitude to everything, like when he needed to be, he could be stern and like fierce and all those things, but he did it in the way that he had the respect of everyone. So when he did it, it was like everyone needs to listen type thing. Whereas when everyone else seems to do it like angry the whole time, it doesn't necessarily need to be. Like there's time and place for that. Don't get me wrong. And coaches you see in football, like animated, all these things, they'll come across really, really well. But ultimately, some coaches just don't come across as well to like some players. And that's not saying they're bad coaches. That's just what resonates with you. So yeah, I'd probably say David Ames in terms of his like just a mellow guy, but like a seriously good tactician, like technical ability. Obviously, he's not finished playing club-wise yet, so he's still playing, but was coaching as well. Like, for me, he is probably the coach.
Is there any, I guess, single bit of advice that he's given you over the years that you've gone, I'll stick with that, or that's something that I remember the whole time? Probably hard to pinpoint which specific thing.
Yeah, not necessarily like a quote or anything like that, but I would say my mentality of like, why does it matter about what everyone else thinks type thing would almost come from him, because he put me in, not necessarily saying it to me, but he put me in a position where I was just like comfortable playing like at club level. He was then like, well, why are you not doing that at an international level? And I struggled initially in my career to sort of put my club game on the table at the international stuff, and I think I was also inexperienced at that level, and it took a while to sort of get there. So yeah, I'd probably say like his ability just to be like, we'll just get on with it and just play your game, like that sort of mentality from him was quite strong, and probably given me a lot of reason to carry on.
Good. Next few years, any goals in particular?
Easy to say Olympics, probably.
Yeah. That's a good goal to aim for, though.
Yeah, I think I'd obviously love to be a part of the next Olympics within obviously the GB centrally funded squad. Like you're always in the long list for it. So yeah, I'd obviously love that. To be honest, my goal this year was just to get back playing. So I hadn't played for 2 years. I basically played that summer of 22, and then obviously lost my contract. Didn't play until December of 24. So there was a big sort of hiatus in there. So my goal this year was just to get back on the pitch and play. And while I've had injuries and setbacks within this year, it's still been, if I look back now, I'm like, actually, it's been a really positive year. So to be honest, the next year would be similar. Obviously, the closer you get to the Olympic cycle, that you obviously want to be there. But it's obviously hard. Like you're taking 16 players out of a squad of 30 odd. Like that's tough to be anywhere near it, let alone within 16. So yeah, I think I tried to take it year by year, and if I'm really brutally honest with myself, just getting back playing for my country's been a strong enough goal.
How did that feel? Obviously, when you kind of obviously set that goal out probably back end of last year to get back out and playing. How does it feel when you achieve something you set out to do?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I sat down with Russ and Penna the other day, and we were talking about I missed out on selection to Belgium the other day, and they were like, "But you've been selected for everything else," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess like because you've had injuries and you miss out on trips within that or games within the trips, you don't actually put it into perspective of actually what you've done. Like I was selected for everything this year up until the Belgium trip, and then obviously the Euros in the summer. God knows what could happen. Yeah. But ultimately, yeah. So it's not. I don't know. It's an interesting.
Yeah. And have you got any advice, I guess, for younger people in terms of setting goals, but also maybe how you deal with them if you don't quite get there?
Achievable. Like make them achievable in terms of like challenge yourself, but don't give yourself something stupid. Like if I could said to myself at the start of this 4-year cycle, be like, I want to be in the Olympics. Obviously I want to be in the Olympics, but how do I get to that goal?
Little stages.
Yeah, the little mini stages, exactly. It's like the mini goals that you have within the 4 years. So it's nice for me. I've got 4 years. I can set a goal each year type thing to help me get those stepping stones. In terms of like dealing with the ones that you don't get, again, probably similar to like selection injuries. Like
Yeah.
try and find the positive side of things, like what have you done type thing, or what can you do now that you've not been picked. So you're not selected, you've not got to that goal. Okay, what can I do to then get to it next year? Can I, because I'm not at that goal,
Yeah.
can I have 3-4 weeks where I can go after something, or I can get technically better, physically better? Like at whatever sport you do, it can give you opportunities
Yeah.
to do other things. Like when we don't get selected for trips with the GB and England stuff, we have we train at Bisham Abbey, but we have like a Bisham crew, which is like all the players that don't get picked type thing, and we have coaches come in, and it's like your technical development, but they always ask, what do you want to do, what do you want to get better at? And if you say running and you want to get fitter, you necessarily don't have to be involved in all of the hockey, but you can just run. Like it's ultimately up to you, and you find that side of it, like what's going to help you achieve the next goal you've got, and try and forward face rather than what's happened in the past.
It's good advice. What's one thing you'd change in your sport?
Probably the publicity of it. For such a well played sport, it's not very big at all. I would say we're behind, obviously football, cricket, rugby, netball. I would even say that's watched more than us. Like you look at their finals the other day, was packed. I don't exactly know where it was, but it was absolutely round, like filling the stadiums. And don't get me wrong, we do very well in terms of, we hosted at Lee Valley recently. We got 4,000 there, which is a sellout for 4 of the 6 days, I believe. Brilliant. We've now got the Channel 4 deal, but it's still like, how can we get more out to people that don't watch a game? Because it's ultimately like some of my friends never watch me play. They'll be like, oh, we're going to come to a game. I'm like, brilliant. Come to a game. They're like, actually, that was really good. And I was like, yeah, it's a very good sport to watch. Like, even if you don't necessarily know what's going on, it's fast paced. There's goals. Like, I think the average of goals is like 4 games a goal.
Really?
4 games a goal? 4 goals a game in international hockey. So it's very like full on, fast paced. So yeah, the publicity of it probably needs a bit more money, professional backing. I'd be surprised if we ever got to professional like status within our club system. It'd be brilliant if we could. I know in Holland it is. But yeah, so that would probably be my change. A bit more professional backing.
How does Holland differ to, obviously there's quite a lot of the GB and England boys go over there to play their hockey, don't they?
Yeah.
It's similar with rugby, I guess, that there's quite a lot of the England boys or Premiership boys that go over to France to play. I guess it's probably a lot more money in the Holland stuff than there is.
Yeah, I think there's probably consistently more money throughout all of the teams. But I'd also say there's consistently more talent. So the Dutch league is sort of well known as being the best playing league in the world. So yeah, I think we've got 4 or 5, maybe 6 boys currently out in Holland that play their league stuff out there. The difference is, I think they obviously are professional funded. Their club system is huge. I think if you went to a Dutch club and you saw it, it would be like they'd have 6, 7 AstroTurfs. They'd have a massive clubhouse. They'd have all these things on one complex. Whereas like I think Beeston are the only complex in England that have got that sort of setup, and a few of those pitches are sort of I think for one of the schools around there, Nottingham Uni have a pitch there type thing. So they've done well to build one, but it's not necessarily the same as a Dutch sort of club system where you'll go and there'll be hundreds and hundreds of like pitches and facilities and kids flying around playing. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest differences.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously the publicity side of things, the grassroots of hockey and kids playing hockey. Have you seen a progression in more kids, less kids? Do you feel like it's growing, or
it's interesting? There's always this argument, like if you ever go on Twitter and you see something about hockey, it's always like, oh, I bet they're private school kids, I bet this. I actually reckon if you went into the England program or GB program and it'd be like state school versus private, I think it'd be pretty even. It's obviously it's played well more in private schools, because it's easier. Facilities obviously cost a load of money to have, but yeah, it's tough because I'd probably say it's gone up. Especially the girls obviously won gold in Rio, bronze at Tokyo. So that definitely promoted the game more. And obviously we hosted the Olympics in 2012, so that was obviously beneficial as well. But yeah, I don't know necessarily how much it's increased.
Yeah,
But I would say the schools game is getting really good,
it's
and
good.
yeah, there's definitely some up and coming some players sort of
Yeah.
just in the school system
Yeah,
that are so young.
definitely. It's something we've tried to do with the coach grid, isn't it? Where we get master classes for kids and people at schools and clubs as well. How have you found them?
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like you go and coach on a masterclass, and you're expected to be like the main figure. I try very hard just to not really do or say much. Like kids want to play hockey. That's ultimately why they've signed up for this masterclass. A name on a poster is obviously brilliant for publicity and selling, but they just want to play hockey. So yeah, I think it's been really good fun to be a part of, and ultimately like coaching different levels and different ages of players is really beneficial for anybody that's actually looking to coach, like moving on. That's one thing I've found. Like we I think we have about 100 boys and 90 girls in our first form at school.
Really?
Which is like we end up having 2 full pitches of hockey like going on in a game session, and you've obviously got your best team here, then you've got like that's your second and then you've got people that they don't even want to be there, but they've got to play hockey.
Yeah.
Like it's actually really fun to go and be with them for a little bit because they just want to do activity. So coaching different levels is good fun, and the masterclasses sort of open up to everyone really. I think it's all abilities.
Definitely. We haven't talked we've obviously talked about David Ames, and it might be the answer to your question, but is there a teammate that's inspired you in any way?
Not necessarily inspired. I've learnt a lot from a guy called David Condon. I don't know how many caps he's got. He's got loads. But his attitude towards training, towards the life we live, is something that I really try to, at times hard, like try to live by as well. Like he's so positive. He'll always like show up to training in the best mood possible. If he scores a goal in training, whether it be the most rubbish goal or meaningless goal, he'll celebrate massively. He'll wheel off to the imaginary crowd down the road. Like his ability just to at times not be selected, but then just come and give everything. Like he always said to me, I think he said it maybe when I lost my contract, he was like, next day is a new day. Like you can have a bad day, and we're lucky enough we trained 3 days in a row at Bisham. So you have a bad Monday, go and have a decent Tuesday, might have a great Wednesday. But also, like, if none of that works, you get to go to your club stuff on a Thursday night, and you can have a new day there. And obviously, to me that was like, it's simple advice, but in those moments you don't necessarily think of them. So I'd probably say his sort of like attitude and things is actually quite inspiring if you actually look at it like that. Yeah.
Good. Is there anything, I guess, behind the scenes that people don't really see? Well, there obviously is a lot behind the scenes, but is there anything in particular that stands out where you go, this is something that a lot of people don't know about hockey or the life of hockey?
Probably that most people have jobs. Like most people have another job, even though we are a full-time program. We then have our club stuff. Like a lot of us just want to do other things, because ultimately hockey, I don't know what the average retirement age is at international hockey, but you'd probably say like 35, 36 is probably like your top end. So you've still got like 25, 30 years in actual work. So deciding what you want to do and doing that is also quite tough to do right at the end of their career. So other boys, I think there's multiple people that have like proper jobs. I say proper jobs, like coaching in a school isn't a proper job, but you know what I mean, in terms of like proper London jobs, and they actually work really, really hard on the side. So I'd probably say the glamour of being a professional hockey player is actually balanced with making some developments in your life and being ready for those next steps.
Awesome. And we always finish with the same question, and that being, if there's one message you want people listening to take away, what would it be?
One message. I'd say similar to my advice. Like at the start, like it's your journey, it's your game. Like ultimately enjoy it for what you want to enjoy it for. If you don't want to play for England, you don't have to do it. If you don't want to, like, you can enjoy playing club hockey with your mates or club cricket with your mates or whatever it is. You can still enjoy that. So yeah, I'd probably say like just enjoy your journey for what it is, and don't necessarily put too much pressure on it. Things can happen very, very quickly for different reasons.
Perfect. Cheers, Sammy.
No
Thanks
worries,
for coming on.